Hello, I am Chocrates, and I've spent a week eating salted caramel chocolates just so I could present you with a modest round the best of the best, and the slightly less best. Each chocolate will be given a score based on what I think of the inside versus the outside. Part 1. Store brand. We will be looking at Waitrose, Sainsburys, Marks & Spencer, Tesco and Waitrose. Yeah, that's 2 from Waitrose. Let's begin with Marks & Spencer and their cocoa-dusted liquid salted caramels. They're of a good size, smaller than the others. The caramel is almost perfectly runny, and the outside is nice and rough, but the outside is exactly where the problem lies. The cocoa dusting, as good as the quality is overpowering. You are left with an unpleasant and long-lasting aftertaste. Props to them for using good cocoa, but they really overdid it. I give the filling a score of 7, and the outside a score of 4. And I'm tempted to knock off 1 whole point because of the long-lasting aftertaste. Salted caramel truffles from Waitrose. There's no outside to speak of because they're essentially clumps of delicious, buttery, sugary goodness. But there's nothing on the outside. Initially, I wasn't going to look at them as a separate competitor, but I've decided that because some of the other offerings have been quite underwhelming, we might as well include them, and they're also pretty good. These Waitrose truffles are delicate and with a great level of salt. The box promises a velvety texture and mentions that there is fresh cream involved. They are rich and relatively homogeneous. $5.99 buys you 200 grams, which also makes this batch of chocolates the best value for money. There is also a dusting of cocoa powder on these, and this time they got it just right. Next, Sainsbury's Taste the Difference. Belgian milk chocolate, salted caramels. I am not a fan of the chocolates from Sainsbury's. There is an acrid aftertaste. The chocolate is not great quality. It is cloying. The filling is basically condensed milk, and not very good condensed milk at that. Though these chocolates come in an attractive package, yuck. The level of salt here is also underwhelming, but given how overly sweet and disgusting the chocolate is, I would say that raising the levels of salt would not be an improvement. Filling versus outside, 4-4. We now come to my favourite of the lot, Tesco Finest Salted Caramel Truffles. I like the chocolate, and it's got a nice rough surface. It's a pleasure to pop one of these into your mouth. The filling, while a little bit on the thick side, is good quality and with an adequate level of salt. In my opinion, this is the best of the lot. In an ideal world, the chocolate would be a little bit tougher, so you'd have that when you bite into it. It would also make for a nice difference between the outside and the inside. But overall, good stuff. Tesco gets a 7-7. We have come to the last chocolate in the selection. Belgian milk chocolate salted caramels from Waitrose. Unlike most of the other chocolates in the selection, the shape is also a bit different. It's a little dome. I think that this particular flavor works better in a little bowl. There's something about having this gooey goodness in the center with a nice strong surrounding. I feel like you're eating the earth. The caramel filling has adequate salt levels, but it's a little bit on the thick side. The chocolate is not bad, but uninspired. I wish there were more of a difference between the outside versus the inside of the chocolate. Altogether, it's just about okay. Nothing to write home about. This one gets a score of 5-6. In my opinion, Tesco's offering is the best here, which is interesting considering that box costs the same as the box that I like the least, from Sainsburys. In my opinion, Tesco's offering here is the best, which is interesting because it costs the same amount of money as the Sainsbury's box, which was the worst in this collection. Marks & Spencer were unexpectedly disappointing here with their overzealous use of cocoa powder. If they improve on that, they might well beat the other candidates, but as it stands, I just can't tell what is there. Sainsbury's, I can certainly taste the difference. And now for the final scores. In my next video, I'll be looking at luxury brands and their versions of the salted caramel chocolates. Until then, goodbye.